Hello, Moogles and Moombas. My name is TB Sky, and welcome to Final Fantasy VI. Since I'm not doing Monster Hunter content twice a day on the channel anymore, I felt like, hey, I could set aside an hour to play something else instead, and so I went looking for a game where it would make sense to play it for an hour a day in a sort of semi-structured way, and I couldn't really find anything that made a lot of sense to me until I remembered games that I've meant to play for the longest time, like meant to replay, to play through again, that I haven't played in ages, and Final Fantasy VI immediately came to mind. Now, I originally completed this game on the Super Nintendo back in the day when it was called Final Fantasy III, but the advanced version, I've also put some time into that. Like, I've tried to play it on again, off again, over the course of years, where I just, like, get 10 hours into the game, restart, make a new save, 10 hours into the game, and over again. And I thought, why not? Like, I have this second channel. I don't need to feel the pressure of the goddamn algorithm all of the time. I can do what I want. I can do something just because I want to do it. So I will. So, welcome to Final Fantasy VI, a playthrough, and I'm going to comment on the art because that's what I do, but that's not really the main. I just want to play this game with you guys and maybe help some of you to experience why Final Fantasy VI just might be the best Final Fantasy ever. Like, usually I say it's Final Fantasy IX, but you know what? 6 is a pretty strong contender. The ancient war of the Magi, when its flames at last receded, only the charred husk of a world remained. Even the power of magic was lost. In the 1,000 years that followed, iron, gunpowder, and steam engines took the place of magic, and life slowly returned to the barren land. The music. Yet there now stands one who would reawaken the magic of ages past and use its dread power as a means by which to conquer all the world. Could anyone truly be foolish enough to repeat that mistake? Turns out, yes, they can. There's the city. Hard to believe an Esper has been found frozen there after 1,000 years after the War of the Magi. It's probably just another wild goose chase. I don't know. They wouldn't have let us use her unless they were confident that the information was good. Yes, a witch. I heard you fried 50 of our Magitek armored soldiers in 3 minutes. Kinda makes your skin crawl, doesn't it? Relax. With that thing on her head, she's a mindless puppet. The girl won't even breathe unless we tell her to. We'll approach from the east. Move out! And here comes the really good song. Yeah, I'm very fond of this game, and I'm very fond of its music. We're making a few compromises, because we're playing on the advanced version, which is a port for the Game Boy Advance that was made substantially after the original came out. And that means it's got slightly different instrumentation, because the Game Boy Advance had different music chips inside it. We've got a new translation, which is the reason why we're playing this version. It's because it was retranslated, and the script was updated, and I think, honestly, it's superior. The price we pay is that I think some of the renditions of the music are actually superior on the SNES hardware. So, you know, there's that. Let me see. Let me get my... Do not display ATB gauge, because that annoys me. Unequip, because I want to mess with it myself. Remember the cursor position. Don't auto-dash. Attack healing effect, thank you very much. And let's go with that window pattern, because that's the one that looks nice. And that'll do. And so, welcome to, you know, the actual game. Final Fantasy VI is, to my mind at least, the first game that really began to understand the idea of Final Fantasy as a cinematic game. You saw it in that intro sequence, right? Like with the screen scrolling and the giant, beautifully created sprites of the Magitech armor running across the horizon. That's not much to look at nowadays, but, you know, back in the 90s, like back in the SNES days, that was the shit, man. I tell you, that was some serious shit to see that. Wow, Jesus, they can do that. It looked almost three-dimensional, like, holy crap, that was a thing you could do. But it's also a cinematic conceit. Like, we're starting out this video game, like, we're like 7 to 8 minutes into this thing, and only now am I given control of any character. All the rest of it was directed cutscenes that telling you how to feel about the world and how to get into it. Imperial Magitech armor. Not even Narshe is safe anymore. And then you get an introduction to the battle system. And one of the clever things Final Fantasy VI does is that you start with Magitech armor. And, like, all of the enemies are weak, obviously, but also, you can do that. Completely and utterly overpowered. You have tons of abilities, and, like, there's absolutely no threat to you, really, at any point, except maybe the introductory boss fight can be a bit of a bastard. But besides that, nothing can really threaten you, so you're kind of free to get used to the idea of the combat system. And get used to, okay, we're on the right, enemies are on the left, and it also has the active time battle system, of course, the ATB system, where you see the little gauge fill up, and that still was it wasn't as much of an innovation by Final Fantasy VI, because they'd used it for 4 and 5, but that was still like a intricate, in-depth combat system that a lot of people talk about, like, wow, it's so, you have to manage, like, the time of how they charge up and all this stuff. I like to turn it off in this game because I prefer to see my health and mana values instead of seeing the ATB gauge. The ATB gauge is going to go up when it goes up. You can't really control that anyway. So it's more of a visual thing, but, like, for its time, Final Fantasy VI had a really complex combat system in a JRPG. And also the animation is really, like, a lot of how it handles its overworld animation and its character animation is actually very clever, because of course it's working with sprites. It can only do so much. And it's not like it's especially impressive again, from a modern perspective. Sprite-based games and like retro pixel arty games nowadays can do much more than you could with the SNES hardware, where you only have so much RAM and you only have so much, like, memory on the cartridge itself, and so many resources to work with. Plus, the programming was bloody difficult back in those days. At least I've heard so. Defend the mines! But there is, like, every single character, especially the ones in your party, have a certain set of animations. Like, they have surprised animation, they have kind of posing animation, they have magic casting animation, they have like blinking animations for open and closed eyes. And what I've really always adored about Final Fantasy V and VI especially is how much character and personality they managed to convey despite those particular limitations. And that's something we're going to see when we get into the cutscenes, is like the timing on exactly how you cycle through character animations and like the specific ways in which they use them. It's like, again, it's not impressive by any modern standard, but it's impressive to us. According to our source, they unearthed the frozen Esper in a new mine shaft they were digging. This must be it. And I'm going to try and keep voices straight, but there's so many characters in this game, I'm probably going to fail at it, as usual. Save point. Oh, I didn't actually mean to activate the tutorial. But yeah. Talk about old school. I'm just going to save over that one. That's like years ago that I made that save. Oh, that was weird. So I'm playing this on emulator, so obviously there's going to be a few mess-ups and mistakes in the thing here and there, as other programs on my computer interfere with it or whatever. But yeah, for these early fights, and for a lot of the fights, you can just kind of get through by mashing a button. This is a game that lends itself to grinding. Like, in fact, later on in the game, you have to grind in order to grind up, especially like abilities and stuff like that for the late game, if you want to take on any of the optional bosses. And there are so many optional bosses. Like, the sheer amount of content that they shoved into this game is profoundly impressive. I'll handle this. Stay back. We're not handing over the Esper. Emir, get them! That's the other thing about the translation. In the old translation, a lot of the boss names and the character names weren't correct. Like, they just weren't really correct. And the retranslation does a better job, I think, of kind of capturing what they're actually supposed to be called. Hold it. This thing's a... They must have trained it to guard the mines. What are you talking about? You know what this is? Ever heard of a lightning whelk? It's a monster that absorbs lightning and stores the energy in its shell. Right. So whatever you do, don't attack the shell. Got it. And that's another thing that you're introduced to early on, is the idea that, oh, hey, there might be certain conditions in a given fight about how to approach it. Which, again, was something that was not entirely new. Again, they did some of that in Final Fantasy V, but 6 was really the game when they started being really creative about the kinds of boss fights and fights that they could really do. Like that. He retreats into a shell. If I hit the shell now, I get a massive lightning attack to my face. And this is like the only place you can really die in the opening tutorial, is if you attack the shell of that thing a couple of times without understanding that you're not supposed to do that. Which does a good job of teaching you, you know, not to do that. But as you can see, I'm ridiculously, miserably overpowered. And this boss has like twice the health of any other boss that I'm gonna face for like a substantial amount of time in this game. Because it has to be able to take a few attacks from these massively overpowered Magitech armors. But yeah, also, we're gonna have to talk about the sprite work. We're gonna run into palette swaps of that particular boss a few times in the game, so no worries about that. But we're definitely gonna have to talk about the artwork and visual aesthetic of this game, because it's so good. Because they still had Yoshitaka Amano on character design duty back then, and that guy... Ooh, he does such good... Like, look at that! This is just a goddamn rat. Right? This is like a basic rat enemy of some kind, but Yoshitaka Amano's brushwork and the way that he designs monster characters, and especially, just imbue it with so much everything. Like, they look menacing, they look terrifying. And like, props to the pixel artists who had to turn Yoshitaka Amano's artwork into, like, actual sprites that could be put in a computer game. That's not an easy task. So, this is the Frozen Esper. This thing's giving me the creeps. Something's not right. The frozen creature begins emitting an eerie light. Where's that light coming from? Ah! What was that? Wedge? Wedge, where are you? Hey, what's going on? God, and the character themes like Nobuo Uematsu. I still consider Final Fantasy VII his best soundtrack for a game. Oh God, it's tough competition with this one. Where am I? My, I just removed the crown. My head hurts. Easy there. This is a slave crown. The others were using it to control you. It was robbing you of your thoughts, making it so you do whatever they told you. I can't remember a thing. Don't worry, it'll all come back to you. In time, that is. A mysterious young woman born with the gift of magic and is enslaved by the Gestalian Empire. Terra. My name is Terra. Impressive! I've never heard of anyone recovering so fast. You must be made of tougher stuff than most. And again, the cinematic thing, cutting to an outside perspective and showing action that's happening, like, in another place. Open up! We're here for the Magitech armor pilot! Open this door right now and hand over that girl. She's an agent of the Empire. Empire? Magitech armor? There's no time to explain. You need to get out of here. These fools aren't going to listen to reason. This way, quickly. Except I'm just gonna dash over here a little bit. That's another quality of life feature in the GBA port is you get fast movement anytime you want. I'm gonna try not to use it too much because, well, I want the original experience a little bit, as much as possible, even if I can't quite have it. Make your way out of town through the mines. I'll try to buy you some time. Oh, I keep wanting to talk about the environment design and stuff, but I also keep reminding myself, listen, this is a very, very long game. You're going to have plenty of opportunities. But yeah, the environment design in this game is lovely. It's really genuinely very good. So, we're going to make our way out through the mines, and soon we will encounter some of the best characters. Some characters that I wish Final Fantasy would bring back more consistently, and with a better understanding of why they're good. But you can see the damage numbers have gone down a little bit at this point. But yeah, again, from a modern perspective, this combat system is... It's not exciting, exactly. It's like, you wait for the thing and you go press the button, right? But by the... Sure, I probably set the battle speed to 2 early on. Later on in the game, you absolutely want to lower the battle speed, because otherwise you're gonna miss a whole bunch of commands, but... yeah, we'll set that to 3 and keep the rest as it is. Fine. And here's where one mechanic that is not explained to you at all, like you have to discover this entirely for yourself. If I open that chest up there now, I get an item. That's fairly decent and okay. But if I wait until the later half of the game, like many hours in the future, and come back here, there'll be a much, much better item in the chest. So I'm just going to leave them, because I want those items in the future more than I want the very small power boost I'd get out of them right now. And again, that's not something that's explained to you ever at all in any way, shape, or form. That's something you can only discover if you go through the game and either miss a bunch of chests or intentionally don't open them at all. Which is something, again, that I feel like a modern video game, I feel like most modern massive RPG games, if they had a mechanic like that, would absolutely explicitly explain it. Like there would be a tutorial pop up. You can choose to open the chest now, or if you are patient, you can open the chest later for a chance at a better item. Which one shall you choose, player? And that's something we're probably going to be ragging on about a lot during this playthrough, is not just the... like, this game's primitive compared to modern JRPGs, but it also trusts the player in a way that I feel like a lot of modern games don't really have the courage to, or rather, they kind of can't, and we'll talk about that a bit later. There she is! There was a bit of animation. And there, like, again, they only have a few sprites to work with, but they managed to do a good job of... they can silently communicate what happened to her right there. Which is hard. Like, that's actually really difficult. My sweet little magic user! With this slave crown, you'll be all mine. Kefka. I'm not gonna lie, part of the reason why I'm doing this playthrough is because I want to voice Kefka. He's such a good villain. And a terrible one, but also a really good one. We'll get to that, I'm sure. Good. Burn them all to a crisp. Kefka's the one character who suffers a little bit in the translation, and I'll explain why later. Soldiers of the Empire, we stand at the dawn of a new age. The lost power of magic has returned to us. We are the chosen ones. Distinctive salute that they're given there, right? The time has come for us to claim our rightful dominion over the world. Nothing shall stand in our way. Hurrah! Long live Emperor Gusteau! Like a lot of Final Fantasy games, this game uses a lot of the aesthetics of fascism to code its villains with, which is something that would probably be worth doing like a full video about at some point. But I'm not promising anything. Don't force me. Took you long enough. Busy with all the robbing and plundering, I presume? Such a good theme. A treasure hunter and trail-worn traveler, searching the world over for relics of the past. Locke. I prefer the term treasure hunting. Semantic nonsense. There's a huge difference. Anyway, is there something you need me to do? There is indeed. I met the girl. You don't mean? The city guard is pursuing her as we speak. This city has the strength to stand up to the Empire, but it won't use it. The people are just too stubbornly independent to join an underground resistant group like the Returners. Tried to explain that the Empire was controlling the girl, but they wouldn't even listen. Alright, so you want me to get her out of Narshe? Or Narshe, probably. That would be the idea. Make your way to Figaro for the time being. By the way, how cool is it to have a kingdom called Figaro? And the leitmotif. Holy shit, the leitmotif. Final Fantasy had already experimented with this a lot in Final Fantasy 4 and 5, but here is where the leitmotif really becomes a signature of Uematsu's style. And like a signature of how he approaches music making in general. Now we've got her. Because this melody here that Locke uses as his character theme, this upbeat, adventurous, sort of Indiana Jones-esque melody, that comes back and becomes like a stab in the heart later on. Wonderful. There's a whole bunch of them. Moogles. God, I love them. Moogles? Are you saying you want to help? I'm trying to imitate the noise that Moogles make in games that have, like, voice acting and stuff, but yeah. I don't need an explanation. Basically, I'm given several different parties that I can swap between with the select button, and we've got this labyrinth map down here, and enemies are making their way up through the map, and we have to kind of I have to position my parties in order to keep her safe using these various characters. But this guy right here, Mog, he's a character who you get to use later in the game. He's an optional recruitable character, and he has some high-level equipment that I just stole from him because fuck him. He doesn't need it. Which is going to come in handy for Locke, who could really use that shield in his left hand, and the spear is going to come in handy for another character later. So you can finish this by fighting all the enemies in turn, and then finally fighting the mini-boss enemy. I'm going to try and just get to the mini-boss enemy as quick as possible, because that happens. The Megalodon has that snowstorm attack that does a pretty hefty chunk of change of damage. And every single enemy group will have one of them in it, and every single one of them will cast that blizzard spell. So rather than deal with all of that, let's see, I don't have any potions. See, the one thing you can do with Locke, because he's a thief, is you can steal. And sometimes there's an advantage to doing that. Because it'll allow you to get a hold of some useful items. And we're going to do that with this boss. At least we're going to try and see if we can... nope, he knocked me out. Right away. Okay, do I have a Phoenix down? I think I do. I do not. Okay. He's got some decent items that you can steal if you really want to, but I'm just gonna try and spam him down. Now, under normal circumstance, like if I was playing this game just for myself and I didn't have to, you know, account for an audience, I would have spent some time with Terra early on, grinding up at least a couple of levels to get Locke to a higher level before this fight, so he could stay alive, and then I could steal the things I wanted to steal from the boss, but nah. It's not important. It's little tiny optimizations and stuff, because again, I've played especially the intro to this game 100 million times. Thanks, Moogles, we're in your debt! I wonder, as we get to the later points of the game, how many of the secrets I'm going to remember. Because I know how to recruit all the secret characters, thankfully. But I don't remember everything, I don't think. This switch on it. Again, cutting to a different perspective. That's something that Final Fantasy V did a bit of, I think. But again, Final Fantasy VI is the point where you can really see Square Enix start to think in a cinematic sense about video games. And that's something that comes back in Final Fantasy VII in a big way. That was the first one where they really went hard on trying to create a cinematic experience with their cutscenes and with the with the camera angles that they use and stuff like that. Nah, you back with us now? You saved me? Save you, thanks for the moogles. I can't remember a thing. It's like my mind is trapped in a fog. And again, that little bit of, like, that rapid cycling between his standard animation and his surprise animation to really get that... What? You lost your memory? A man said it would come back, eventually. So you got amnesia? Don't worry, I won't leave your side until your memory returns. What? I'm not gonna up and abandon someone just because they lost their memory. I'll keep you safe, I promise. And again, that's his ready animation from the combat sequences, but they're reusing it here to kind of to have him make a kind of confident pose, which is so lovely. Anyway, let's go grab some free items.
This is a school for the beginning adventurer. Despite all of our recent advances in technology, the outside world remains full of monsters we know little about. Here, we provide advice to travelers brave enough to face the many dangers.
It's a tutorial house. It's the place where you go to get a lot of the introduction to a lot of the systems in the game. But I'm going to use it to get healing, because there's healing water in there. Grab a chest with, I think there's the monster in there. Yep. Which is still going to get me an item. I think there was a potion there, and then you get introduced to the idea that there's items in the things. Oh shit, I actually forgot. The clocks in this game, a lot of them contain elixirs. For no discernible reason, they just do. Right, there's nothing there. And the secret passages are not in here, are they? No. Okay. Let's see. Move away. Ugh. That's one annoying thing about this game is you can get body blocked by characters in crowded spaces. Okay, just get that out of the way. And back to normal walking speed. There we go. And onto the world map. Which is withholding the world map theme from us. We still get that downbeat kind of Narshe theme. And the actual world map theme is not going to come up until a bit later. And there's a reason for that. A thematic reason. And also, again, a cinematic reason. They're keeping this music on this bit of the world map because that music contains a certain mood, right? And we want to stay in that particular mood, at least for the moment. As we travel down south. Oh, look, there's a castle there. And there's pretty much nothing else. But we're gonna run around a little bit anyway. And as you can see here, the enemies get much tougher all of a sudden. So we'll use a bit of magic to chunk them down a bit. There we go. That's better. And there's also a cave down here, if I remember correctly. Yep. Which we will be going through later. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Piss off! Mostly I'm just trying to get a bit of money. And just show you a bit of the world map. So this giant desert is really just giant empty desert, and it never really becomes relevant as a gameplay space at any point. which is such an interesting decision. Like, there are times when this game is definitely padded a bit, like where the world map has these large, open, empty areas with nothing in them. And it doesn't seem to be for any specific purpose, just because make a big, large, empty space. I don't actually remember, because usually, again, when I start the game over from scratch over and over again, as has been my habit, I don't usually bother exploring, because I know where to go and how to get where we're going. We need to go to the castle, and then there's going to be some cutscenes and a whole bunch of dialogue exposition, yada, yada, yada. But I kind of want to go up north to see if the place that I'm thinking of is open and available for visit. I should probably use a potion. I've got enough money to buy a few, which is good, because I will need it. As I remember, there's a mountain range. Yeah. Another advantage I think the GBA has over the SNES, at least this might just be a feeling thing, but it feels a little bit snappier in terms of like getting in and out of combat than the SNES version does. I may be completely wrong about that, but that's another reason why I prefer it, because you go from fight to map screen like that, which is a bit of a contrast. Like if you've ever played Final Fantasy IX, oh boy. Halt! Oh, would you? Proceed. Bit of a contrast there. I remember every single goddamn melody in this game. I swear to God, I can sing them all from memory. Do I want to go to the shop now? No, because when I have Edgar with me, I get a discount, I think? We'll see. Hello, Mr. Kingman. You mean this young woman is... Who are you? Oh, my apologies. How rude of me to turn my back on a lady on our very first meeting. The young king of Figaro Castle, imperial ally and champion of the technological revolution. Edgar. AKA objectively the best character in the early part of the game. I am Edgar, the king of Figaro. I need to figure out a voice from him that is different than Locke's. Yeah, surprised someone like me knows a king? Well, I'll catch you two later. I should probably do a more of a suave ladies' man voice for him. So, you're an imperial soldier, right? Don't worry, Figaro and the Empire are allies. Feel free to rest here for as long as you'd like. It's not in my blood to harm a lady. Why are you being so kind to me? Is it because of my abilities? I'll give you 3 reasons. First of all, your beauty has captivated me. Second, I'm dying to know if I'm your type. I guess your abilities would rank a distant third. Look at that little double blink, double take. Again, so much with so little. What's the matter? Guess my technique is getting a bit rusty. And then he just leaves. I suppose a normal girl would have felt something from those words, but not me. Oh, no, wait, shit. I don't get to visit the stores while I have Edgar in my party. I need to do it now. I've already got them. I'm gonna get them out of principle, even though I'm probably never gonna need them. Edgar has a bunch of tools he can use in combat, which are quite potent. Like, they're really frickin' powerful, and he's a massive damage dealer on your team for a good long time. But I almost never use anything but the auto crossbow and the chainsaw that you get later. Okay, let's have at least 30 potions. And Phoenix Downs for the rest of it. Yeah. So all the graphics in the old SNES and indeed the Game Boy Advance games, JRPGs like this, tile-based, right? So everything here is either a tile, which is background, or it's a sprite, which is, well, me walking around in the foreground. And so in order to create this carpet here, the carpet isn't one big object. You have these tiles where you can see the steps. You have these side tiles with a bit of decoration on it, and then you've got these in the middle, which is just pure pink, basically. And they're just tiled over and over and over again. And that means it can be easy to have environments that look really repetitive, like that just look like the same thing over and over and over and over again. And that's something that a lot of modern games run afoul of, especially in their texture work. And something I really like about the Final Fantasy aesthetic is like all the dithering, all the little shading. You can see those little grains of sand that are lying around on the flagstones up here. And like those little things that differentiate various bits of the area from other bits of the area. And they do a really good job of like just giving you just enough that it doesn't look like it's repeating itself over and over again. So, scholars all over the world are studying magic, but you can only learn so much about something without seeing it. The ancients once wielded a force known as magic. Those who mastered the art were called magi. I'm kind of torn between wanting to progress the story quickly in order for this not to get boring, and talking to every single goddamn NPC because that's interesting. But for the moment, we'll try and strike a balance. This is Figaro, the Desert Castle. We will try to strike a balance. Let's see, where do I need to go? Oh, right, I need to talk to a particular NPC first. The advanced weapons and other items we manufacture here are shipped to South Figaro. And this is something that, like, we like to talk about how Dark Souls is a game that hides most of its lore and its background story in item descriptions and stuff like that, and that's part of what makes it unique. But honestly, old JRPGs like this actually do a similar thing, hiding away a lot of their story and their lore and, like, all the information, really, in character dialogue with characters who only say one thing over and over again, but unless you go and talk to them about it. Figaro Castle is the most advanced structure in the world. You wouldn't know those things. Figaro has an alliance with the Empire. Like those little tidbits that are kind of fed to you if you bother to go and talk to people about it. Let's do that, actually. Recover some HP. Because I can't remember if you recover HP during the forced sleep later. So give it a shot. Our king showers his attention on women. Young, old, pretty, or plain. No one is safe. Not too long ago, the king tried to hit on the high priestess. Oh, did she ever let him have it? I'm sure he's made a pass or two at you already, hasn't he? Yeah, please cycle back, thank you. I've always had a vague ambition in my head to try and use a game like RPG Maker or something to make a small JRPG like this for myself. Just a small one, just to see if I could do it. His Highness said he'd marry me when I get old enough. But never found the time, because, you know. Edgar has a twin brother, you know. He was always such a nice boy, always thinking of his family. Leitmotif. It's the same music as the one we heard before, but it's recontextualized into a sort of dour minor mood. I'm not sure it's actually turned into a minor key, but it gets the leitmotif of Edgar gets recontextualized, and Edgar and the Castle of Figaro gets recontextualized into this lullaby-sounding version. And this is all over the fucking game when you listen to the music, if you pay attention to it.
Edgar, what's wrong with Dad? Why is everybody talking about a successor?
Are you blind? Haven't you seen how thin his face has become? What do you mean?
Edgar?
Are you crying? Edgar's twin brother, who traded the throne for his own freedom. Sabin.
Ah, yes, Sabin. I'm sure he's a fine young man by now.
He was just a boy when he left, even smaller than his brother. I often wonder where he is now, and what he's doing. And back to high energy music. But again, see what I mean about that cinematic approach to, like, we talk to a character and we get into this flashback sequence of the thing that happened in the long ago times, and the music changes and the Gestalian Empire has already overthrown all 3 of the other nations on the southern continent. It's only a matter of time before they make their way up here. Again, the other 3 nations on the southern continent, to my knowledge, that's not information you get from anywhere else, that there used to be more nations down there. That's only that guy's gonna tell you that. Just, that's the thing. I don't want to use the quick walk. Like, because in the original game, in order to get the quick movement, you had to get a specific relic item and equip it on one of your characters. So it kind of cost you something. It cost you some combat power to be able to move quickly across the game world. So I don't want to use it. Because, oh, by the way, another little tiny detail that I'm going to gush about that I'm sure no one cares about. Walking upstairs, normal walking speed, right? Walking downstairs... Well, okay, we can't really see it there, but when characters walk downstairs in this game, they increase their movement speed. Like, the sprite cycles through their walk cycle faster than it does when they go upstairs. And I think that's just so clever. That's such a clever little way to do things. Oh, well, we'll look at that later. Oh, right. I keep remembering that I have to go here and sleep in order to advance the story. But I keep forgetting all the things I have to do in order to get to that point. Because I'm too busy talking about the art of the game and cinematic cutscenes and what have you. The king's brother was all so disgusted by the succession that he fled the castle, never looking back. I've heard tell the entire matter was settled by the flip of a coin. Again, relevant information for later. Well, how do you like my castle? King Eka, there's someone from the Empire here to see you, Zaya. Kefka, no doubt. Such a good villain theme.
Whooey! Emperor Gestal's stupid orders! Edgar, you pinhead, why do you have to live out in the middle of a stinking desert? These recon jobs are the pits. There's sand on my boots.
All gone, sir!
How pathetic!
Sir Kefka, what in the world brings you...
Out of my way!
And now, finally, I have control over Edgar, which means, boom, he gets the Mithril Spear. You wouldn't be thinking of invading my kingdom next, would you? We have an alliance.
An alliance with this miserable little sandpit? Don't make me laugh.
I hear you've been busy down south taking over a country or 3. Just what is the Empire up to?
That's none of your concern.
What brings Emperor Gestal's own court mage, Kefka, to my humble castle?
A girl of no importance recently escaped from us. We heard she found refuge here.
This wouldn't have to do with that witch everyone's been whispering about, would it?
Lies! She merely stole something of minor value.
Is she here? That's a tough one. There are more girls in here than grains of sand in the desert. A man couldn't possibly keep track of them all.
Oh, Edgar, you know you only stand to lose by trying to hide her from us.
I truly hope nothing happens to your precious Figaro. It's such a good villain theme. Ba-da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like the way it rises and falls with it's just like Kefka's mood is so unpredictable and he's so changeable and he's like one moment he's this kind of pathetic, hilarious court jester type of character and then one moment he's a dangerous sociopath. Ooh, very good. I didn't like the sound of that. Where's Terra? Take her to her room. I'd love to stay and chat, but the Chancellor and I need to do some planning now. Being a king is not all tea and crumpets, if you'll excuse me. Follow me. Yeah, we're just gonna hurry past this bit, cause I know where to go, Locke. Don't get in my way. Oh, Chrisara, if you watched this video, thank you very much for pledging to my Patreon right just now. I just saw an email notification. There we go. Sorry, didn't mean to drag you around like this without giving you a chance to rest. I'm Locke, right? Eka told me about you. Is it true you're a thief? I'm a treasure hunter! On the surface, Edgar pretends to support the Empire. Truth is, he's collaborating with an underground resistance group called the Returners. I serve as their go-between. The old man you met in Narshe? He's one of us too. The Empire. But I'm an Imperial soldier. Not anymore. They were using you, that's all. Things are different now. It's just, I don't know what I should do. Whenever I try to think, it just makes my head hurt even worse. All that matters is that you make your own decisions from now on. You don't have to think too hard right now. You'll know what you want to do when the time comes. But how will I know which choice is right? And shit goes south. Huh? What in the... What's going on? It's the Empire, Kefka, he... What do you think you're doing? Bring me the girl. Now. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, then enjoy the barbecue. Fire, fire.
The castle's on fire.
Get her ready. Yes, sire.
Had a change of heart?
Seems I have no choice. Or perhaps I do.
Oh my! The brave and noble king abandons his people to save his own skin. How utterly delightful!
Jump! All right, sink her into the sand. Yahoo! Figaro dive mode engaged. Witness the glory of Figaro. You can't take that name too serious, can you? But still, another bit of impressive tech. Remember how I said that the game is sprite and tile based? Doing stuff like that under those circumstances is actually pretty impressive.
Go! Kill them!
Now, there's a secret little dialogue scene. Yeah, I knew it. Doesn't recover Locke's health. God damn it. Oh, well. There's a secret little dialogue scene you can get in this boss fight. That's entirely optional. It depends on whether or not you have Terra use magic. And I know plenty of people who went through this first fight without ever seeing this particular little dialogue scene. What's the matter, Edgar? What made you jump like that all of a sudden? You just see what I saw? You did, right? Right? Yeah, this kid is really something, huh? Really? Something? That was magic! Magic! Magic? She used magic? Terra. Your name was Terra, right? What exactly was that just now? Completely ignoring the boss, by the way. I'm sorry, No, we should be apologizing. I didn't mean to make such a big deal out of it. Nor did I. It just surprised me. I mean, I've never actually seen magic before. Where did you... It doesn't matter, does it, Edgar? Terra can use magic and we can't. That's all there is to it. The fact is, her magic could really help us right now. Thank you, Locke. Thank you, Edgar. And the little wink. And two swooning idiots. But that's one of the things that I really like about 6. And about these older games is that they have that aspect of there's stuff in here, and especially later on in the game, a casual playthrough isn't gonna find. It just isn't gonna see. There's so much stuff, like there's so many characters you can miss entirely. Even members of the main party.
Son of a sandworm! You'll pay for this!
This is Kefka is one character who loses out in the translation a little bit. That was great! Were those bad people? I'm scared. Because the line in the SNES version is, son of a submariner! Which I thought was the funniest fucking shit when I was a kid. Son of a submariner. Or submariner, more specifically. Because he puts the castle in the sand like it's a submarine, but it's in the sand, and he's the son of a submarine because it's an insult because he did that. I thought it was funny when I was a kid. Maybe not so much anymore. Terra, this is someone we'd like you to meet. Like I told you before, we're members of the Returners. Would you be willing to meet our leader? Magic is going to be the key to winning this war. Magic. That Esper reacted to your magical powers. There's got to be a relationship. I don't know any more than you do. These powers just come naturally to me. But no human is born with the powers you have, and... Oh, Edgar, putting your big, fat, royal foot in your mouth. Forgive me. What should I do? The Empire will be coming after us. They want your powers for their own. And if they get them, the world is done for. Terra, you want to understand your powers, don't you? Then I think you should meet with Bannon. He may be able to help you find out more about why you have them. Please, Edgar's right. There's a cave just south of here that leads to South Figaro. Let's head in that direction. And that'll be about where... Chocobo riding. Something that you only really have to do in this one sequence. It's completely optional at all other times. But I've always really liked the feeling of like just kind of dashing across this map in this sort of Mario Kart like faux 3D. and seeing that mode 7 scaling running, which is what the SNES used to use back in the day, mode 7 scaling, which was, I think it was like a special chip in the cartridges that did the work. And it was like a huge deal. Like when mode 7 scaling first came out as a thing, people were like, what? You can do that with 2D sprites? What? Ah, the good old days. Right, I need to save. I can quick save, but we'll save for real. And there we go. That is about the first hour of Final Fantasy VI. And I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. I'm certainly enjoying myself getting to play, or not getting to, because I can play this game anytime I like, but playing this game in a way that kind of demands that I slow down and take my time a little bit more, and explore a little bit more, and try to remember what it was like playing the game back in the day. So, as usual, like, comment, subscribe. I've got a merchandise store, I've got a Patreon, I've got all this stuff. You can give me a tip if you want. And I hope to see you back here tomorrow for more Final Fantasy VI. Thank you very much for watching.